pretty chill dude, Sam, but did you have moments where you were grieving as well? And was it typically with Mandy, or were there times where you were grieving kind of in isolation?
Yeah, good question. I have a hard time getting in touch with my feelings.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on. I've grown a lot, actually, through marriage. Thank God for marriage, because Mandy has, I think, resurrected my little tiny heart a little bit.
I have seen tears.
Yeah.
The baby's going to be celebrated, and this baby is so loved. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so,
But that was a choice.
yes, a choice.
Because we didn't always feel like celebrating.
Yeah.
We didn't always feel like hearing about one more couple that got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel that, but it was a choice.
And it's okay. It's okay to celebrate and have joy and to cry. That both of those things can coincide at the same time. But I really do feel like it was God's grace that jealousy and bitterness was not taking root in my heart. And I know that that's God's grace.
Hello, and welcome to the Making Marriage Great Again podcast. We have an exciting conversation for you today with an extremely powerful couple. We hope that you are as excited to hear their story as we are. Before we get into this episode, make sure that you hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and then the notification tab so that you can be notified every time that we drop a new story. We love you. We can't wait for you to hop into this powerful conversation with us. Let's go.
Hey guys, so excited to have Mandy and Sam
Yes.
Petro today. We love them. We've been friends for a handful of years now, but still getting to know each other. And as we sit here today, they're expecting their first baby.
Yes.
So exciting. How many weeks are you?
37 tomorrow.
37. Okay, you guys, first baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've been married for 6 years. So Sam and Mandy have been married for 6 years. They also do some amazing work together in their marriage, but helping other people, which we'll get into a little bit about their discipleship program. Sam's been part of a discipleship program really since
For like the last 10 years.
long time. And Mandy gets to join you on that journey now, and it's impacted her as well. So 6 years married,
Yes.
baby on the way,
Yes.
helping a ton of people just become the best versions of themselves, experiencing God's best for their life, man.
Yeah.
That's been super profound in your guys' walk, your journey, and your marriage as well. So cannot wait to talk with you guys. Just a fun couple. Bree and Mandy love to just gab. It's so often that I find them on FaceTime and just doing just random fun stuff. So guys, get ready for this show.
It's going to be so fun because God has created both of you guys so uniquely, and your guys' story, how you came together, the patience that you've had before getting together, getting married, and then now, as you prepare to have this baby girl, baby boy, we don't know.
Surprise.
It's going to be a surprise. What do you think though?
I think it's a girl. I feel like, I don't feel like, I know the Lord gave me a dream.
Yeah. Let's
A
hear
couple
about
dreams.
this dream. This dream is so cool.
Yeah,
a
that was a
couple
girl.
of them.
Yeah, a couple dreams. So you just want me to share part
Do
of the
it.
story?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we were we were trying to get pregnant still, really hopeful. We had just had some
let's start there,
surgeries.
if we could. Let's start there. You guys have
Okay.
gone through this journey of wanting a baby. You've always wanted to be a mother. You've always wanted to be a father. You take care of a ton of other men. Mandy, you've been in discipleship with women for so many years.
Women, kids,
Women,
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mandy led the director of, what was
Kids
your
ministry,
title? Yeah,
yeah.
kids ministry at Love Church. So always had this desire to have children.
I was like, okay, we're getting married June 2nd. Let's get pregnant on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
Like, really, that would have been a dream.
Okay.
Oh.
That's not how it happened.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was a long journey. So you want to tell the full story
Do
of
it.
that, or just the
Yeah,
dreams,
go for
or
it.
what?
No, full story, because I think
Well-
the dream piece is so cool at the right time.
I think Mandy was holding back. She didn't tell me she wanted to get pregnant on her honeymoon. I don't think that's exactly the way I envisioned it either. I thought maybe let's just get married and figure marriage out for a second before we have kids. But after about the 1 year point, we did have a conversation like, let's start trying. And up until that point, we just weren't doing anything to prevent it. And we were open to the idea of getting pregnant. Mandy secretly wanted to get pregnant the entire time, but it didn't happen. And so now we are in year 1 or 2 of marriage saying, let's start trying. And no dice for a few years, right? And then we do see some doctors along the way. We kind of start down that process, and we just didn't like the direction that any of it wanted to head. And so we were praying the whole time and asking God for the baby and asking God, like, what do we do? Like, do we keep going this route or what? And we really felt like we got a word from the Lord year 2 or 3 basically saying, hey, just wait. The word was wait. We're like, that's what everyone wants to hear when they're praying, by the way.
Well,
is
yeah,
wait.
and I think
for anything.
we were actually chilling on going to the doctor. We just thought, if God can put a baby in my womb, I mean, we don't need to go to a doctor. God puts babies in wombs all the time. Women who want babies, women who don't, like, he can surely give us a baby. And we actually had some good friends give us like a coupon to go see this doctor. And I was like, that's the funniest Christmas gift I've ever gotten. They're like, and here's a voucher to go see this doctor. And I thought, that's not even real. I don't think we did.
It's the only coupon I've ever seen from a doctor.
I don't think we did ever pay for that visit, but that is what got the ball rolling. A couple, 2-3 years, probably three years into marriage.
Yeah. But
like
we
Sam
heard
said,
wait. And so we just waited and we just kept trying. We kept praying. And along the way too, like this was something we were passionate about in our story, is telling people what's going on in our story.
Yeah.
That's such a lonely journey for many, many couples. And like there are people that are close to me where I find out years after the fact, oh my gosh, you guys have been going through this really hard time getting pregnant. You're struggling, you're praying, but nobody knows.
Dang.
And that really broke my heart. Like, there's some people I'm really close to that was their experience. And I just knew, man, why wouldn't we, I just asked I asked myself this question, why wouldn't we pray? Like, why wouldn't we recruit prayer warriors for us? Like if we are up against something and we're going to be going through a hard season of trying to get pregnant, like, oh my goodness, I want prayer to see God's hand move. I want to, like, let's get pregnant. First of all, let's recruit some prayer warriors for that. But also, like, we need prayer, like going through this. There's a lot of ups and downs. I mean, a lot of disappointment along the way on a journey like that. And it's like, dude, pray for us and pray that we get pregnant. And so, we were really open about recruiting prayer warriors along the way. So we were doing those things, even though we were waiting. We stopped seeing doctors, but we were definitely telling people what was going on. And I'm so glad we did.
That's such a good, we talk about being surrounded all the time and just having people that are fighting with you and for you, no matter what season you're going through in relationships and life. You have to have people with you. Otherwise you're isolated. And you know that when you're isolated, man, your mind's just going 1,000 different directions. So for you guys to have that, to trust people, to be vulnerable in those moments and to share, man, this is our story. No, we don't like it. We want this baby now, but that's a scary season to be in. So super cool to hear that you guys were vulnerable and able to share with people. What was it like to have them come alongside you? Did it lift you up? Was it encouraging? What was that like for you guys?
Yeah, well, we've discussed this, that like we held up pretty well. Like, don't get me wrong, there were tears and there were really tough moments. I mean, there are ups and downs. Like, every month you're hopeful, and then
Another
a dagger.
No. Another
month after month after month after month.
Yeah, but what's the but?
We still had hope.
Yes,
along the way.
We had so much hope. I'm so thankful. I'm like, you guys I'm gonna cry just out the gate. But there would be times where I'm like laying in bed. He's like, cue the Kleenex.
Kleenexes are
And I have like
and
a sympathy Kleenex.
I would
I'm
just
like,
grieve and just cry. And I would say, hey, babe, just to let you know, I'm okay. But I was raised in a home where if you had emotions, just let them out. And, I just wanted him to know, like, there's nothing that can make me stop crying right now. I just feel really sad, but I'm okay. And he's like, okay. And he was so great.
We talk about it.
He was so great during that. And the waves would just come. And we still had so much hope. Like, Lord, I love kids more than adults. I'd love to have some kids. However they come, however your will, like, we would adopt 50. But interestingly enough, the ministry that we serve in, you can't really foster kids when you're in a discipleship home living with, we were living with 20 men at one time. You know what I mean? And so what's so cool is when you're praying and asking God all the things, that foster care was a no for us.
Right.
And our greatest goal in life is not to have a family. And so we knew, hey, God's called us to this ministry. And so we know that trying to foster right now is a no. And so that was just kind of cool when you're in God's will. You're not conjuring it up. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
For sure. But there was this moment, and then I want you to go on with what you're going to say. So oftentimes, Mandy and Sam, that isn't the case of what you just described. I just need to weep right now. I'm sad. I'm grieving. And you said, you told Sam straight up, this is what I need. So you were clear with what you needed in that moment. But so oftentimes that's not the case. There's bitterness on one side or the other. What's going on? Is this me? Is this you? Is this us? And it causes so much tension in a marriage that oftentimes people end up divorced because they can't have a child. So practically, what was that like, Sam? How were you rooted in knowing how to minister to your wife's heart in that season?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's more of a feeler than I am.
Yep.
I think God designed us that way, you know, on purpose. And yeah, I think I just had an understanding, you know, like there's that verse in scripture, I forget where it is, but it's like dwell with your wife with understanding. Like I just need to know that my wife's such a different creature than me, but that's important and that's amazing that she's wired that way. And so I think just allowing her the space to like feel those things and to share those things with me, and for me to just be ready to hear them and to listen and to maybe cry with her a little bit and not go about trying to fix it. You know, I think that's a temptation for guys a lot of times. Like we're such fixers and like we don't always feel the emotions the same way, but we're like, let's switch into logic mode and start fixing things. And that's not what she needed, you know, and that's not there wasn't really a fix for us either, you know, like we didn't have anything to go off of sometimes. And so it really was like, let me just be present and love her and keep my mouth shut at times, you know. And so I was asking God for the wisdom and the discernment on what to say and what not to say, and how to just love my wife.
You would just pray for me.
And we pray.
That's like the best gift a husband can give their wife. Here's my heart. I'm pouring it out. And he's just going straight to God. And he's not saying, well, this is what I think. And you cried 3 days ago. Why are you crying again? Never made me feel bad about it, you know?
Right.
And he would just pray because we don't know the answer, you know?
Yeah.
So
had zero answers.
You're a pretty chill dude, Sam, but did you have moments where you were grieving as well? And was it typically with Mandy, or were there times where you were grieving kind of in isolation?
Yeah, good question. I have a hard time getting in touch with my feelings.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on. I've grown a lot, actually, through marriage. Thank God for marriage, because Mandy has, I think, resurrected my little tiny heart a little bit.
I have seen tears.
Yeah. So
in the last 6 years.
I would say this on my own. I didn't always think about it. Right? Few and far between, maybe a few times. But there would be moments where I'd be really moved. And there's something there. The thing is like, I am feeling things. There are emotions. I'm just ignoring them.
Sure.
That's how I'm living my life a lot of the time.
Back burner, man.
Yeah, because emotions get in the way, you know. Which is, you know, unfortunate that I've lived life that way, and I'm trying to unlearn some of those bad habits. But, you know, we would talk about it, and she would share, and she'd be feeling things, and she would express it. And Mandy, if she's feeling something, she is going to express it. So the cool thing is there was always opportunities for me, I think, to then grieve with her. And that was how I was processing along the way. It never really had to happen, I think, in isolation. I was moved at times because I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling it too. Yeah. I didn't know I was feeling it because I've shut that off sometimes. But now that we're talking about it and here we are crying, I'm feeling it. And I need to have, you know, I need to grieve a little bit along the way.
I would say, so you said my tiny little heart. You have such a big heart. You have such a big heart for the Lord, for men going through addiction. We're going to get into that in a little bit more about your past. But for you, I think it's important that you said, I shut it off. Like you love your wife so well. You pour out your heart and your energy to so many people. Honestly, some who were even disadvantaged, where it's like they've had some rough cards in life that have been dealt. And then here you have your beautiful, amazing wife. How old were you guys when you got married?
I think I was 33. I had just turned 33.
Yeah, and I was about to turn 28.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So here you guys are where you are like, okay, I've waited this long to get married. I want to have a baby. I know I'm going to get pregnant on my honeymoon. I want to get pregnant. And then here you are. It's like, okay, the society puts this pressure on you too, like time's ticking. You're 33.
Right.
And now you're 34, 35, which is the whole thing, advanced maternal age.
Right.
And so then you have all this worldly pressure. Yeah. And you're in the season where your friends are getting married or have gotten married. They're starting to have babies.
2, 3, 4 babies.
Talk,
Mhm.
like share
Yeah.
what that's like too, because I just remember you celebrating, like you shared with people along the way, like you said, and had people in the community. Everybody wanted you guys to have a baby, you know, but does that, so I'm sure that helps, but also to put pressure on you and how well, tell us what it was like to celebrate your best friend's babies
Yeah.
and people all over having babies, and
Yeah.
here you are.
Yeah, I just remember
Yeah.
like
Good question.
when you're surrounded, Kevin, how you said that, there's it's so helpful when you're surrounded by people that love the Lord and love you. And I just remember we're not going to compare, we're not going to be jealous. We're going to celebrate
Come on.
because when our babies come, the baby's going to be celebrated. And this baby is so loved. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so,
But that was a choice.
yes, a choice.
Because we didn't always
Mhm.
feel like celebrating.
Yeah.
We didn't always feel like hearing about one more couple that got
Mhm.
pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel that, but
but
it was a choice.
And it's okay. It's okay to celebrate and have joy
Yeah.
and to cry. That
Yeah.
is that both of those things can coincide at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do feel like it was God's grace that jealousy and bitterness was not taking root in my heart. And I know that that's God's grace.
Yeah.
And back to just Sam being steady, I'm so thankful men are not emotional roller coasters. I'm so thankful that he just stayed steady. It's actually such a gift that men and women are so opposite. And we've only been married a short period, but we've gone through a lot of things. And I'm always like, I'm so glad you're not like me. I'm so glad you're not like me. It's actually such a gift. So yeah, I think it was just God's grace and learning from people that really loved the Lord and could celebrate others. Everyone has different seasons. You have your hard seasons, your joyful seasons, and getting married at 33. I mean, that wasn't my plan, you know? And so lots of other people are married. And I remember when my best friend got married, I think I couldn't have been more excited. I think it was like not appropriate, but that was genuinely my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You're marrying the best guy. And I'm so happy for you. And that means we're not having sleepovers anymore. And that's really sad, you know, but just genuinely so happy. And that is God's grace. That's not Mandy Petro. That's God's grace.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, she just said something that's so profound in today's world, because most men are not steady. Most men are the roller coaster and have high emotions, anger, depression, passivity, because their wife's been their biggest critic. Something has shut them down. So they operate in this space of, I'm not going to let anything impact me whatsoever. But anger bursts out because they've never cleaned out their heart.
Yeah.
How did you get to this spot to be your story? You weren't always steady. How'd you get here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to, escape all emotions through drugs. I mean, I shut off my heart and all my feelings with drugs because I was probably so scared of the emotional roller coaster or the challenges of life, feeling overwhelmed. So yeah, I mean, drugs aren't really an option for me anymore. And about 10 years ago, that all changed. And so, that's when I went into a program.
You were an addict.
I was a drug addict, full blown. Yeah. And God put me into a program that was 12 months long. It was a Christian discipleship ministry, something really similar to what, we do at 180. But yeah, I was there for 13 months. And there was a ton of processing of my heart and just all these things. Like anyway, with addiction, you realize it's not about the drugs or the alcohol. You don't have a drug problem. Like you have a drug solution to all of your other problems. And so you need to deal with those underlying issues, and had a season to do that. And the truth is I'm still processing all kinds of things and unpacking things and growing and learning. But God did some amazing work in my life, in my heart, like at a deep level, back then. And I think coming out of that, now to where I can stay steady is, and I think I'm just so convinced of God's love for me. And I think I'm so convinced that he is good and he's faithful and he's in control. And so I can kind of stay in that place of like the surrendered kind of place where I can settle things at the extreme, like worst case scenario, I'm still okay. Like worst case scenario, like Jesus is still on the throne and God's still good and he's still faithful. And if this is part of his plan, so be it. I trust him. And so I think that has really, really helped. Is number one, I've dealt with some of the issues in my life, some of the at a heart level along the way through some of these processes. but then I live every day still thinking about the Lord in like, man, that he is good, he's faithful, he's in control. And even in the worst case scenario, like I'll probably still be okay. And so I think those are the keys for me to kind of live in that place.
Yeah, because there's so often, I mean, it just doesn't happen that way very often. We don't go get the help that we need in the moment that we need to prepare ourselves for what is to come. Oftentimes, marriage has already taken place. People have been married for 5, 10, 12 years, whatever it is. Addiction settled in, alcoholism, gambling, whatever it may be. Now all of a sudden, they've got a marriage, they've got kids, they've got a family. It's like, I can't hit pause on my life to go get right. What is that? How have you helped people through that now?
Yeah, I was gonna say we see that, man. We see that all the time, and there is this really big challenge to say I've got all these other responsibilities. I can't just stop. I need to keep blasting through life. I mean, the pace of life only picks up as you get older and more responsibilities come your way. And today's world is just a different pace than it was probably even 20 years ago. So yeah, we see it. But it's like, what are your options? You know, like, man, you either keep doing this, keep blasting through life, really half-hearted, on empty all the time with all kinds of negative behaviors coming out of you, where you're not even the person you want to be for the people that you love and that you're worried about, that you want, you know, these guys don't want to leave their families. They don't want to leave their careers or whatever. But they're going to lose those things potentially, or they're going to ruin those things potentially if they don't push pause and get the help that they need. And for the guys that have done that, because we've had a bunch of guys that are married with kids and have other things going on in life, but they take that step and man, they'll push pause and just say, man, okay, I'll do this. For those guys, man, I think all of them would tell you it's worth it, and that it has changed their marriage. It has changed the way that they can relate to their kids. Man, it's made them a different person in so many ways, and it's worth it. It's 4 months, you know, in the case of the 180 ministry, it's 4 months for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
Man, I've met the guys that are 60 years old that are still doing the thing, and they thought that it was going to get better over time. And it didn't. Nope. And unfortunately, there's all kinds of broken hearts along the way for those 60 years. And they wish that they had done it when they were 25 or 30 or even 40. Yeah, I've met those guys that have the regret. I'll tell you who doesn't have the regret. It's the married guys with the kids and the careers who did take the step, push pause, and now are back with their families. It's different for them. Those guys don't have any regret.
Yeah. Everything's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't dream for a better past, but you can work towards a better future.
That's right.
And you got to make the decision.
Yep.
You guys have been married for 6 years. Where'd you guys meet at? How long did you know one another before you got married?
Yeah. So I've been at Love Church for 14 years, and Love Church has always had a partnership with the Abide Ministry in North Omaha. So Saturdays was just a normal thing to go Saturday and serve at Abide. And it was November, and they were putting up Christmas lights at their new campus then, but now it's the Better Together campus. It's not new anymore. And Sam and I had a mutual friend, and it was actually his coworker. So I don't know a stranger, and I've like met him a couple times, and I'm gonna say hi to him. And this young guy was next to him, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, Kyle?" And he goes, "What's up, Mandy? This is my friend Sam. Hey, Sam." You know, went about, did our thing, and that was really it for me, you know. And then and then Sam messaged me.
But I just knew, here's the thing. I was there volunteering. You know, I was working at Adult and Teen Challenge at the time, and which is the program that I went through. I ended up becoming a staff member there. But here's what I knew. I was like, here's a woman who's a babe, who's serving Jesus. And she had a couple other like younger girls there, maybe high school age, who she was like, obviously like maybe leading or discipling. And so I'm just like, just not knowing anything about this woman that I just met, I'm like, man, okay, she's a babe. She seems to love Jesus. She seems to be here for the right reasons. And she's like, you know, leading other people, discipling people. Like there might be something there.
Okay. So you knew.
I thought maybe that's worth pursuing a little bit.
So that's how we met. That's November.
So different between men and women.
Yeah.
Right. So this guy's wife, they were at Love Church for 2 minutes, you guys. I mean, I'm dramatic with numbers, but for a very short amount of time. And she happened to be setting up the Love Kids classrooms with me for a couple
Because
of
you were in
Sundays.
charge of kids ministry
Yep.
for the church.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're in the classroom, and I remember she just brought it up, and she's like, so what's your deal? Like, do you want to get married or what? And she's just very blunt. And I was like, yeah, just waiting, you know? And she's like, well, because that Sam guy thought you were cute. And I was like, Sam who? And so, sorry, babe.
She knows now, right, Sam?
great.
So that was November, and she's really just talking him up, saying how great he is. And so
What a great friend. She was working for me.
Yeah.
She coordinates for her and her husband and me and Sam to have this double date, and our schedules didn't work out. I mean, I just remember it was January 4th and for the four of us to hang out, a very freezing cold winter day. And the four of us hung out in what was actually going to be our first home, the attic of the Adult and Teen Challenge House in Benson.
Oh my gosh.
Was our first date. And I just remember we were playing games, and I was like, oh, he has a great smile. He's cute. And I didn't know how old he was. And you heard, like, when we got married, I was 33. He was 28. So I had 5 years on him. But at the time, I thought he was 19. And I was like, oh, this is so sweet. A 19-year-old thinks I'm cute, and I'm close to 30. You know what I mean? And he didn't have social media, so I didn't get to like creep him out. Because isn't that the great thing about social media? You just get to find all about people, and there wasn't much there. So
So the research falls short. Now you've got to spend more time with him.
So she had to. Yeah.
So first date, it was great.
Yeah.
Got my number.
Yep.
And we hung out again, and
Yeah, and we were pretty serious early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, because you guys are not 18, 19 when you meet.
Right.
I mean, yeah. And so
She thinks he is.
she
She finds out I'm actually an adult at some
But
point.
this is not your first relationship with people.
Yeah,
And you both are serving the Lord in different areas. You're both in careers, but really, like, you're in service. Like, you're discipling others. You want to share, to tell others what it looks like to be a godly man, a godly woman, how to pursue all these different things. How does that look? Because I'm sure this relationship was different than your previous relationships, because we all have a past.
yes.
And when you're trying to do it right, it's
Yeah.
really like there's a
Difficult.
level of perfection that almost takes place, because you know, like, we don't get trial runs at this. Yeah, you can date somebody, of course, but it looks different when you're trying to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow the line of culture. So it's like, man, we need to make sure that we're serious about this before we take it to the next level.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh gosh. I think so. I had been pursuing the Lord for 6 years. 6 years or so. Before I had started pursuing the Lord at 24.
Okay, tell us what pursuing the Lord was like for you.
So I was in a relationship for 9 years, convinced this is the man I'm going to marry. I can't believe he hadn't proposed. And then right before Christmas, I was like, I don't know. I'm breaking up with him. Moved back home with my mom because we were living together. And then 2 months later, a very good friend of mine to this day invited me to Love Church, a Bible teaching church. And I was like, okay, I'll go. Fell in love with Jesus. Like, we sang Amazing Grace. I've heard that song my whole life, but tears are pouring down my face. And I thought, I've never heard the Bible shared in such a way that's so tangible, practical, and easy to understand.
Come on.
And so for me, I was like, God, I always knew you were real. I pray when I'm scared, but I didn't know that there could be this love relationship. And I think literally the first time I was there hearing the Bible being taught, I thought, this is the love I've always longed for. And so that's kind of how it started for me at 24. And I was just pursuing the Lord and so content with just me and Jesus. Like, I can't believe I didn't know all this for 24 years. I just wanted to listen to every past Bible teaching I could get my hands on. And that was so, so fun for me. Still having this great desire to get married and have a family. I was 24 and then 25 and 26. And I joke and say, I just thought maybe Christians don't like redheads, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, then along comes Sam. And I remember friends would tell me, okay, just keep pursuing Jesus, keep your eyes on Jesus, read your Bible, whatever, and live your life. And they're just going to come running alongside of you. And that's not always the case for everyone, but that was literally our case. I go to Abide to help hang up Christmas lights. and there's this cute kid, there's this little cutie. And that's kind of how it happened, which was so fun. So because I had been pursuing the Lord and I'm learning so many things, like, hey, the guy that I lived with and lived that lifestyle with, that wasn't pleasing to the Lord. But it's not like God was saying, hey, now that you want to be a Christian, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. There was no rules with God. He literally just changed the desires of my heart.
Wow.
So, I was done just seeking attention from guys. I thought, Jesus is really satisfying this love and security thing in me. And so I was kind of, God was changing who I was. And so I was so content with him, and I just lost my thought, shoot. But then I think as time went on, I was like, okay, I love that the men are like supposed to pursue and God created them to lead. And I am a very passionate person and I'm not shy. And I thought, where is he? Where is this bold man going to come from, And then Sam Petro comes in. He's a very bold man.
So you had done relationships pretty much how you wanted to in the past.
Yes.
Did kind of with the Lord. You lived with someone for 9 years. Were with someone for
right. Didn't live together for 9 years, but was with him for 9 years, lived with him for
together.
a year or more. Yep.
And then so Sam, tell us a little bit about, because we kind of skipped about you guys' upbringing and past, but so you guys want to do it the right way. Let's go back a little bit and just kind of talk about some of the trials that you had along the way. And I want to start with Sam.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a great house. Mom and dad married, still to this day. They're amazing. Shout out mom and dad. So yeah, I had a great picture of like what marriage could look like. And I just didn't have a lot of dating experiences throughout high school. But then after high school, that's when I really got into partying and drugs and
In high school.
Right after high school.
Okay.
So I'd kind of dabbled, a little bit in high school, but it was really after high school that I just went nuts. And but I had a history. I would say this is worth mentioning, that I had a history of like pornography use and addicted to pornography as well. Even before addicted to drugs, it was addiction to pornography. Okay. So definitely, some twisted like thoughts and things like that with that. So when I started partying though and doing those things, like obviously there was like inappropriate relationships and there was, hooking up with people. I think God spared me from too much of that. Like actually, thank goodness. Like I think some of those things could have been a lot worse, but the truth is I had never had a healthy relationship. Purity was not the standard in those relationships, right? When I'm just in, so it was totally new for me coming into really having been then pure, practicing purity, like no longer looking at pornography, wanting purity in our relationship, coming into a relationship, knowing, man, I want to be serious about the relationship. Like I don't want to date just for fun. Like if we're going to do this, it'll be kind of towards marriage. But then also, like, I really want to honor her purity, and we don't want to cross physical boundaries, So that was my mindset going into it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I have a question. You've used the word addiction a few times. How does somebody know the difference? Because oftentimes we'll hear, well, I'm not addicted to pornography. I'm not addicted to drugs.
Yeah, I watch it or
I watch it like once in a while. Of course, if my wife isn't going to pursue me, then I've got to release somehow. What's your definition of addiction in that case?
First of all, when people say, they have to have that release or whatever, man, that is such a cop out.
Yep.
Such a lie. Man, we could get into a whole conversation about that.
I think it's good because
whether or not that's
we have so many
physical
people that we work with that
we
are
say all
telling us
kinds
this.
of things.
Like my husband won't stop drinking. My husband won't stop looking at pornography. Right. My wife won't stop having extramarital affairs. We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And so we know it's real.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth getting into as much as you're willing to share of why people do that, what it looks like, and how do they get out of it.
Yeah. So addiction, to answer that question, man, I think addiction, a good definition for addiction could be, man, does it impact your health, your finances, and your relationships.
There you go.
So like if you're drinking or if your pornography use is going to impact your relationships,
And it is.
there's an issue.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it will, yeah.
Then it is a problem. Okay. Now, is it technically addiction according to, other definitions? Maybe, maybe not. Is there a physical addiction or psychological addiction taking place? Maybe not. But for me, if it's an issue, if it's affecting your pocketbook,
Yep.
if it's affecting your health, or if it's affecting your relationships, and there might be other categories you could even throw onto that. So yeah, if pornography is affecting, your relationships, then it's a serious issue. And I think we make a lot of excuses for it. I think there's a lot of lies that we believe about it. And man, when you really look at it, it affects you the same way it does a drug. And I think it's incredibly addicting. There isn't much that compares to pornography that performs a dopamine dump in your brain, which is like the thing that's going to ultimately build habits.
Yep.
And hook you, is like, oh, this is the reward for doing a task, right? Which could be doing a positive task. You get a dopamine release. Like, I mowed the lawn. It looks amazing. I feel good about that. That's dopamine. I'm going to keep mowing the lawn and doing productive tasks. But when we do things like pornography, or we look at pornography, there's this huge dopamine dump. And it basically is like, I should do that. I should do that. I should do that. I should keep doing that. And I think it's incredibly addicting.
Yeah.
So I think we, lie to ourselves a lot about whether or not we're addicted to those things and whether or not it's affecting us. But for me, I knew I was addicted because, man, I really couldn't go a sustained period of time without viewing. And then I knew it was affecting me. I mean, it just affected the way that I was relating to women.
Yeah. Start looking at people differently.
Yeah,
Start
just
having thoughts
all kinds of thoughts,
yeah.
man, lust, just throughout the day, and just, it wasn't healthy, right?
Yep.
Like I just, was objectifying women and things like that. And, but yeah, I couldn't go a long time without it either. And so I think if I took a really honest look, like there was physical addiction or psychological addiction with pornography, and, I would, sneak and hide, and there'd be all these other things that would come with it too.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a good sign. If you're doing it in the
thing.
dark.
If it's in the dark, man.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Yep.
and you're hiding it, and you don't want to be found out. And some of that is almost worse.
It is.
Right? Like the deception, the deceiving, and the lying is almost worse than and some of the actual struggle.
Yeah.
And then the
porn.
shame
So,
that comes along with that.
tons of shame.
I mean, because
oh my gosh.
but then it's like, because how old were you, do you think, when you started that? Because I feel like it happens younger and younger. It happens to both males and females.
Yep.
And kids have so much access to this device in their hand, where you click on the wrong thing, it piques your interest, and now you're so deep in it. Man. So age-wise, but age-wise.
Yeah. When we speak to somebody close to our age, they can remember the first time that they saw a pornographic image, because it was a magazine, it was a DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I don't know if that's true today, because it's just happening so fast that it's a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
But you can remember the first Playboy that you opened up, the first VHS tape for some people that they saw, the first DVD, the first Jerry Springer spring break stuff. All of that was big when I was in college. Mm-hmm. You open up your phone right now and it's everywhere you look. So I don't know. It's going to be this huge shift that takes place with the culture that's being raised right now, or the demographic of where people are right now, of when they actually see pornography for the first time.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's a serious issue. Like, if there is like a big cultural war that needs to be waged, that we need to take really, really seriously, it's like the impact of pornography on the next generation.
Yep.
It's going to be devastating.
It is.
Because of the access, and it is different. Even when I was, and we're younger than you guys, but even for me, man, it was, I was 14. Like, I didn't have a smartphone. Smartphones didn't become a thing till I was 18, 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was 14, and it was on a PC with, like DSL internet, like people don't even know what those things are anymore. The newer generation doesn't. And I'm not even that old, but things are just so different even from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was 14. It was the internet, for me when all that was happening. And then, yeah, it was like sneaking at night, when everyone else had been to bed, and go to the family's computer, and it's terrible.
Yeah, we can share how that impacted our first year of marriage too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were dating, we really wanted to just put everything out on the table. And I think something important with our story is because we had both had a past, we had slept with other people.
Yeah.
We knew we're actually not going to kiss, because for Sam and I, we're going to go from 0 to 60.
And physical touch was like one of the top 2 love languages for both of us. So we're like,
I would smack
really
his
wanna
butt, and
touch
he would
anyway.
be so serious. He would be like, "Hey, you can't do that because I can't touch your butt."
yeah,
And I'd be like, okay, so we won't.
that's true.
So we're dating. I remember we're hiking at this place, and he's just being so open and honest and sharing his past. And he had shared about pornography, and I just remember like, oh my gosh, I have a decision. Like, I can stay dating you, or I can break up with you and keep looking for the perfect guy that God must have for me, because surely it's not this flawed one that's in front of me. And I'm not perfect. So I just remember I was so grateful that he trusted me to share that. But at the same time, I thought, man, okay, so I know he's had a past with drugs, and he's sharing about pornography. And I know that is a really common thing. And so I just remember that day when we were hiking, and I thought, man, okay, so am I going to hold this against him? Am I going to trust God, pray, or am I just going to say, no, thanks? And then, we started dating in January. Sam's like, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend, and I'm going to pursue you in this manner. And that was so sweet at the end of January, right, when it was official. So we dated up until almost fall, late summer. And then I thought, this is not how things should be. Like, I need the fireworks, I need the butterflies, and they're not there. And so remember, we're not kissing, we're not making out. So there's nothing there that's like tricking me into this like oxytocin love thing,
Wow, yeah.
And so I thought, let's just break up. This is too hard. I'm asking God to make it so clear. I don't feel like God's making it clear. So I just felt like there was just this tension I was struggling with. And so we break up for, 6 weeks or so. I mean,
She dumped me.
She dumped you.
Yeah.
So long story short, we got back together, you guys. We're married. And I'm so thankful. And when we got back together, he did not wait long to propose. He thought, whoa, this girl is wild.
Gotta lock it in, man. Yeah.
And so this is so important to me. When Sam proposed, you've watched the movies, like men might indulge in porn, and women, we watch romantic comedies and we think it's okay, but that's not the real world. And my conviction is I actually don't watch romantic comedies anymore. It's just not real, and it's not good for my heart. So I don't do it and haven't done it for years. So when Sam proposed to me at the Durham Museum, getting onto the train, I do remember some of the parts very vividly. I thought, okay, cue the fireworks. Like, this is going to be so great, and I'm going to be crying soon, right? And no tears came, and I thought, this can't be it. And there was a voice in my head, and I know it was the Lord, and he said, no is not an option.
Like when I'm on my knee proposing.
Pouring out his heart.
Oh, wow.
There's this voice in my
Like,
head.
yes or no, are you going to marry me?
And the voice says, no is not an option. And I said, yes. I really felt like I was obeying the Lord in that moment.
Purely in faith.
So this is important because here comes our first year of marriage. And the honeymoon was fun. Like, I'll never forget our first kiss at the altar. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
It was so special. A good friend of mine, sent me the little video of it, and I just remember it was so sweet, and I thought, I want to kiss him again. This is so great. So the honeymoon phase was so fun. You don't have any furniture, you're eating dinner around the coffee table, on the floor, or on a picnic table, whatever. All of that was so great, and then that ended quick. The honeymoon phase ended quick, and now you're living together and you're seeing this person and they're seeing who I am, and pornography came up, and I thought, oh no. And I remember.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing real quick? There's a lie that guys say to each other or themselves all the time. Like, when I get married, I won't really need the pornography anymore, or like, because I'll be having sex with my wife or whatever. I mean, like Christian guys say that,
Yeah.
right? Because Christian guys are probably the ones who aren't having sex with their girlfriends. But then they're like, so I'll use porn in the meantime. But when I get married, I'm not going to need the porn anymore. I'm telling you, listen, I was walking in purity, wasn't viewing pornography, like really while we were dating at all. And then here we are. It was like I flipped the sex switch back on.
Yep.
Right? I gave myself permission, right? For something I've been trying to suppress for years and years.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're able to have sex in marriage, and that's amazing. We waited to do that, and so we're enjoying that. But there was this, along the way, though, pornography crept back in marriage when it wasn't there before, because I had, somehow kept it shut down. So anyway, I just say that because like I think listeners need to hear that. We tell ourselves that as guys all the time.
Yeah.
And I've talked to all kinds of guys where they end up married and pornography is still an issue.
Yep.
And then when you end up talking to your wife about it, or it's going to cause problems in your marriage. And here we are in year 1.
Yeah.
And pornography is an issue in my life.
Yeah, it's
in our
hard
marriage.
to remember. I just remember year 1, we didn't like marriage, and my response was not like full of grace and forgiveness. My response was like, I'm married to you and I'm committed to you, and we're staying together, and you suck, and I'm really mad.
She felt like like I tricked her.
No,
into marrying me,
or like God tricked
or
me.
God did.
I remember specifically we're laying in bed and I'm with my back turned to him and thinking all these thoughts. And Sam said, God didn't trick you into marrying me. And I thought,
No, I said he's not punishing you.
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
He's not punishing you.
And I just was like, get out of my head. Like, how did you know that I said that? But
because you never told him that.
No, I just was like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe that this is our story. And I was so discouraged to the point that I grinded my teeth so hard at night. Your girl had to get a mouth guard.
Mouth guard, yeah.
And I was
Because
like,
of stress.
yes.
Yeah. So what were the things do you think that made our first year of marriage so hard?
It's good.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I think
I have some ideas.
I'd love to hear it. You go. I'm gonna take a drink.
Yeah, there were multiple things. So, first of all, sin surfaced.
Yep.
Which was me and viewing pornography and then hiding it. And then when you get honest, now you're talking about hiding and the actual pornography. And it was, we broke down trust. You break trust.
Yeah.
You break your wife's heart. There's all kinds of questions and doubts that come into her mind about that whole thing. It was a disaster. But there was other things that were hard too. I mean, even before, because I don't think we had that conversation until we were 6 or 7 months into that first year. But the whole first year was pretty hard because there was a big transition of, I think, 2 established people with established lives and friend groups
Because we're 28
and family
and 33
dynamics.
when we get married.
Yeah, I mean, so just trying to blend all that.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, it's not like we lived together beforehand either. Right. And that's a challenge that I think people don't always foresee when you're living pure lives and you're not living together. Well, then there's just an extra transition that's going to happen when you do finally move in together and you're blending your bank accounts and you're blending your calendars. We both had really full lives, and now it's like, hey, you have to stop doing those things, and I have to stop doing these things just so that we can make it all fit on our calendar. And whose house do we go to for the holidays? And whose friends do we hang out with? Like, what about my friends? Why are we always hanging out with your friends? They're fine. But
and little bitterness creeps in,
so there's all
even
kinds
with the
of
best intentions.
all kinds of challenges, I think. And then expectations was huge. I think on Mandy's side, especially, she had some expectations, and I was not meeting those expectations.
Yeah, and I think just learning how to communicate, because when you're dating, it's so fun and the conversation doesn't end and you talk till 3:30 and wake up at 5 and you have energy to go to the gym. And
Oh, man.
I remember those days vividly, and then you get married and you're like, we don't even talk. This is crap. What's going on?
Yeah, no, I think it's so good because some people will, it's like, okay, we sometimes buy the lie of society that we're going to date, we're going to have this amazing, dating relationship. butterflies all the time because people see other people's Instagram reels. They're going on trips. They're going out to dinners. They're doing all these things, and then you get engaged and it's all the bachelorettes and all these different things. And then you have this amazing wedding. It's picture perfect. And you said it. Then we're married and I'm mad and you suck.
And I'm sleeping with my back to you.
Yeah.
With my mouth guard.
With my mouth guard.
But you guys, that's when so many people start to
Yeah.
look and go their separate ways.
Deterioration,
And then it's like,
man.
you know what? We don't have kids yet, maybe, or even if they do have kids, life's too short. So
One
he's-
sleeps with one kid, one sleeps with the other.
Yep. And then all of a sudden you're miles apart and you're like, well, this isn't how it's supposed to be.
Mm.
But you still had that relationship with the Lord and you still had
Yes.
people to encourage you.
Yes.
Were you open to sharing people, Mandy, especially for you, because women are more vocal and more emotional? Were you able to share with some of your friends when your marriage was hard? Like, is this normal? Like, what do you?
Yeah,
like-
I think I just remember sitting with actually my pastor's wife, and Denise would just encourage me. She encouraged us when we were dating, and when we just laid the facts on the table, I was like, okay, like these issues are there. Is he not a good candidate to marry? Are we not going to work out? And I just remember her advice was so good, and she was chilling, and I was like, okay. And back to just God saying no is not an option. I'm so thankful 6 years in that God was like, nope, you're gonna marry him, and he's the best. My heart has healed from so many things just by being married to him and working through hard things. It's like if you go through a hard period, like whether it's a workout or just this experience in life or whatever, and you work together and you make it through, your marriage is so much better. And we've experienced that. And so you don't tell everyone
right
that everything is hard. No way, because you're committed to this person and you're going to love them and be with them for the rest of your life. And you don't want like all your friends thinking, oh, I'm so mad at him. But you're going to confide in someone who's trustworthy.
Yeah.
That's going to point you to Jesus and not say,
That's it.
you deserve to be happy all the time. Get out of there. That's not helpful. And I was that friend before I knew the Lord with certain friends. And that's not who you want to go
Guilty.
to.
Same.
So super thankful for those sounding boards. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to think back on when things were hard, because it's really fun being best friends now. And for the record, we weren't really friends when we were dating. We were strangers, you know. I didn't know him, and then we got married and whatever. I think these last 2 years, it's like, oh, you're my best friend. This is so fun. This is cool.
But we kind of did need to hear that along the way, like
That it's okay.
that it's
This-
okay.
This is normal. It's okay
Because
that it's hard.
the
sometimes.
expectation thing in our, and I think in our mind, my mind too, this is probably the one expectation that I did have coming into marriage was like, dude, there's going to be this amazing honeymoon phase that's going to last for at least a while. And I'm just going to like marriage won't get hard right away. Like it'll get hard at some point, but it must be years down the road. And that just wasn't true. I mean, it was like, man, all right, honeymoon phase, 3 weeks, we're done with that. And now things are hard. And and I don't know if we we needed to hear it from somebody. And I know I was going to some trusted people too. And I was confessing some of my sin and my struggles and getting some accountability, which I needed. And that was great. But we're super passionate now. Like now that we're on the other side of it, like any new couple, like we know that they're married and we're in their first year, we like pull them aside and we're like, hey, you don't have to just tell us like, oh, marriage is amazing, da 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 da. Like if it's not, that's okay. We tell people so many times like our first year of marriage sucked so bad. Like just know that.
And some
And
people
so if
might
you're
have
not-
great first years.
Yeah, and some people
but
do.
That wasn't our story.
Everybody goes through the seasons. They're different
Yeah.
times for everybody, but you're going to go through a season where you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
it's
not
hard.
what I expected.
I might need to tap out.
I might, so many people do that. But you have people around you that didn't let you tap out.
And we had really drawn a line in the sand, and we knew like we're in this and we're committed. You know, his parents were together and my parents divorced. And I'll never forget the day Mom sat us down to tell us. And I was like, what? Who's going to do the grocery shopping? And I go grocery shopping with Dad. Like that really affected me. And I was 9 or 10. You know what I mean? And so I just knew like, okay, Lord, you're in this. And the D word is not an option for us. And here we are up against something hard. And to see God be so faithful and to bring us to where we are today is the best gift. And I would for sure do all that hard junk again and again. So worth it.
Well, I think that's important too, that we decide like that divorce wasn't an option
You
for
don't
us.
threaten
Like,
each other with
yeah,
it.
like the fact that we never really did that, even though we had our times where it was hard and we're fighting, there was never anything that ever got said like, maybe we should just divorce, or I'm going to leave you, or maybe you should just go, or I'm just done.
Yep.
I'm just done. And I hear that from people
all the time.
They say that phrase specifically, and I just think we need to get rid of it.
Yep. I'm just done.
I'm done. I'm done. And like, what does that mean? You know what I mean, what I hear is, man, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing marriage anymore. I'm out. Yeah. And so, gosh, we just like, we didn't want to say things like that. And we didn't, by God's grace, not because we're sweet.
Yep.
Again, we were having a time.
And it brings so much security. I remember too, even when dating would sometimes be hard. Sam's like, hey, we're going to be okay. And we're going to be married. And there's so much safeness and security in marriage. And you don't know that until you enter in the marriage. And it's like, okay, this is me. You're fully knowing me, and he fully loves me. And that's such a picture of God's love for you and I, right?
Yeah.
God knows all about us and loves us. And so there is that really special thing about the covenant of marriage is like, hey, I know this guy and I love him. And there's so much security in that. Like, hey, Sam, here's my strong suits. You love this about me. And guess what happens when you marry a passionate, bold woman who loves to express herself? This over here comes with it, you know? But he fully knows that about me and loves me. And he was right. There's so much security to work those things out in marriage.
And a mouth guard.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't have it anymore. For the record.
Okay.
Yeah, we're actually over the mouth guard.
Stress is gone.
But there's something really important about what you just said, because, you know, if you're dating and staying with this person is optional to you, then you might have one foot out the door.
Yep.
Throughout the relationship, potentially. You always could exit if you wanted, right? When you're in a dating relationship. Now, marriage, you're not supposed to live that way. You're supposed to have the mindset, I'm with this person forever, no matter what happens, no matter how terrible they are. This is my person now. And there's the safety and security that comes that, like, okay, there isn't a back door. There isn't an exit. We don't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out when we're in marriage. It actually should give you something more safe and something more powerful to work on the marriage, and to if you all of a sudden eliminate the fear and the stress and the anxiety of this person might leave me if they really find out, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
If you can just get rid of some of that by both people being really, really committed to marriage forever and divorce not being an option, like we were saying, it changes things, and you're able to work through things in a different way that we almost wouldn't have been able to work through in a dating phase of our relationship, because the dating phase there still was an exit. But marriage is really, really cool, and I think you see it in like arranged marriages. Have you ever been? I've been to a couple other countries where they do that. And it's amazing how much those people truly love each other. It's the weirdest thing.
Because they have to be with them?
They have to. It's not an option for them.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they do? They learn. I'm telling you, it was explained to me by this like Pakistani dude that I lived with. And he's like, man, like we don't get the whole like star-crossed lovers thing. Like we just don't get that. Like, no, your parents pick somebody and you're married, and then guess what happens? You learn to love that person.
Yep.
You just learn to love them, and it's a choice, and you love them for who they are, and it's like, and he's like, and we have beautiful marriages, and he was serious. I don't think he was like fooling me or trying.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah.
He was just like, dude, there's something special about just committing and learning to love the person that you're with, and you're not leaving, you're not going anywhere. Not like, oh, well, I liked you then, and now I don't like you. Like, he's like, I didn't even like you before. I didn't really even know you, and I'm having to, get to know who you are in marriage and choose to love you no matter what, because we're gonna be together forever. So anyway,
I do love that though, just to make the choice, because you had mentioned, when Sam, you came to her and were able to share some vulnerability, and it's actually things that you had talked about before, and that you were doing all the right things and yet it still creeped in. You had a choice then to keep hiding it and keep letting it destroy you, or come to your wife and say, okay, because I think a lot of people, when they're going through something, there's shame, one, that, okay, maybe we did it wrong. Like you're just tempted, like, well, there's shame that says, okay, I'm doing the wrong things. I'm not living up to it. I must be flawed. And then you look at your husband or your wife and you're like, well, they're for sure flawed. And then it's tempting to be like, I need to run. I need to get out of it. But you felt vulnerable. And Mandy, you provided that safe spot, that safe space for him to share his heart. And then how did you guys make a plan to be like, okay, this is how we're going to do things differently, even after just a few weeks, after just a few months?
Yeah, I mean, you make it sound so great. I don't think that's what it was like for us. We got there eventually, but the truth is,
back to the passionate, bold, and expressive part of me.
I think she thought she made a mistake marrying me.
Grace.
Yeah, I think.
And I let him know my words were not nice.
Yeah, I think like she felt tricked into marrying me. She thought, did I hear God correctly? Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe we shouldn't be married. Maybe we screwed this whole thing up. Kind of like what you're saying. But what are our options? Like we got to figure this out because we're in it.
Yeah, and so and the trust thing is so real. Like
I hurt her so bad.
You break the trust, and he knows. Okay, if I'm honest with my wife, then I'm gonna break the trust. And you don't. It's not like okay, trust is broken. Here, let's fill up that trust bucket. And the truth is, because of Jesus, because the Lord is in our marriage, and I love the Lord more than anyone and anything, I trusted him. When I didn't and couldn't trust Sam,
you trusted God.
I trusted the Lord. And that was really helpful. My hope was coming from him. He was filling me up. He was giving me the hope. So that was really helpful. And then as time went on, I could respond in a better way if Sam had something else to say or share that wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? Because I wish my response was just so full of grace and forgiveness, but it's just not the truth.
Yeah,
and then we grew in that. And that's why, back to like, we're best friends now, because he was like, I don't trust my wife. She's kind of mean.
It was hard to, like bring things back up to her. Cause I wish it was like also like that was the only time it ever happened. But no, there's a couple times where, man, I really blew it and did some super dumb stuff like pornography and even like dabbling with substance use a couple different times, like and having to just be super honest with that to my wife and knowing, man, last time I shared something with her, it was not good. I don't feel like I received that much grace. There probably was actually some grace in there.
I never punched you, babe.
Never got beat up by her, so that's good. But man, I remember being afraid, like, man,
here we are again.
I mean, I blew it, but it's like I just didn't have an option. I knew at some point, like, I couldn't live with myself if I was going to keep hiding it, because I would always hide it for a little while, and then I would be like, I have to. I'm going to die if I keep hiding this, and I need to just tell the truth. But it's like, no matter how bad it hurts, no matter how. Even if she wants to be as crazy as she wants towards me and be super upset, I deserve it. I don't get to decide what her response is going to be. I don't get to say, well, hang on, I told you the truth, so you should be nice to me. It's like, nope, I don't get to say anything. You don't get to decide what collateral damage looks like when you're the one who sins. And so you just go into it, you bite the bullet, you're going to take it on the chin, but it's like, what other option is there, like, except to tell the truth and to come out the other side and be like, hey, even if I'm a sinner and I've made these terrible mistakes, like, I still want to be a man of integrity someday, and that starts right now. Like, I have to do it the right way. I have to do it the hard. I'm going to be brutally honest, even if that means my wife's never going to trust me again.
Yeah,
there's just no other option.
It just makes me cry, like, hearing him say that, because it makes it seem like he was the bad guy. And it's not true. Like, my sin is just in my heart and it just looks different.
Yep.
And he is such a man of integrity. And because we were building our friendship and marriage, we're communicating. I'm seeing who God is making him. it's like, of course, like you're not going to be perfect in the midst of all that, you know? And so, I just don't even like you're not the bad guy, you know, you're just, your sin and the things that were against me and the Lord just looked so different. And I'm just so thankful, and God grew me so much. And because, you know, if you ever like, if you ever pray for patience, which I don't, because
Don't do it.
I'm not stupid, like you have to go through things to be patient, you know?
Right.
But I do remember thinking like, I just want to be a woman so full of grace. And I just remember journaling that and asking the Lord, make me a woman so full of grace. And I'm like, whoa, I just look back at the things that God brought me through, and it's like, I can extend grace. And it's because you had to bring me through things that were hard, you know? And that's just really cool to see the Lord in that, and to know his end. Like, I don't have to tell her. I don't have to tell her. I could call my buddy and talk through this, and he could hold me accountable, and then she wouldn't have to know. But he did. He told me, and that's really special when your husband can trust you in that way, even if you haven't, even if it's scary. You know?
Yeah, Mandy, tell me a little bit more, because I know, like, we all have a role to play. So yes, you have this thing that comes up, but we work with couples, and I know you guys do too, but the husband or the wife is constantly getting pulled back into their addiction or their sin,
Just the junk.
or just junk. And you know what? You said it, like, it's anger and bitterness. What does that look like? Like, what would you tell the woman who is disappointed, even the one time? I mean, let alone all these other times. What would you tell the woman, the wife who's disappointed and hurt and wants her marriage and wants to do it? Because you work with women, the men come into 180, and you work with the women to give them hope and peace and security during this time too. So what would you say is your, like, couple things that you would say, okay, no, this is what I would recommend doing when you're disappointed by your spouse again?
Yeah, that's a great question, and those conversations have come up. It's hard to even address that question without talking about the Lord. It's so hard. So back to our expectations of what we think marriage is. Like, I'm going to get married and he's going to love me and I'm going to be so happy and it's going to be so fulfilling. And God took me around the expectation mountain so many times while we were engaged, while we were dating, the first year of marriage, because he's like, Mandy, your expectations aren't real. They're not real. They're not real. They're not real. So first, just addressing that we could have expectations that were never from the Lord and just weren't even good to have. And how dare we as women put all that on the shoulder of our man?
Yep.
And thankfully they didn't, I don't know, Sam didn't put all those on me, but some guys maybe do on their wives. But I think it's back to trusting the Lord. Like, hey, are you going to extend forgiveness? And it's our pride. Like, I'm just better. We could think I'm just better than them because I don't mess up like that. And it's like, hey, are you controlling? I am. I can be.
Yep.
And it's like, why isn't he just loving me? Aren't I so lovable? No, you're not. Your bad controlling attitude is making you unlovable. And those are things I've realized. Like, don't you just want to come home and snuggle and kiss me? And it was like, no, because your words are harsh and you're controlling. And as women, maybe it doesn't look like pornography or drugs or blowing money gambling, but our response and our attitude, and I just think our control is so huge. I actually talk about that a lot with women. Can we just acknowledge that's a big deal? And
the desire to control, the desire to,
And then when things go wrong, it's like, well, where were you? What'd you spend that on? Why you said you were going to be home an hour ago and then you weren't. So then we want to even pull the reins in tighter and control. And it's like, so it's like impossible without the Lord, you know? And even when we don't know God, he can and will pour out his grace because he's so good.
Yep.
And he loves us so much. And so there's even hope there too. But I think we have to stop laser focusing on our spouse and say, okay, what am I doing and what am I saying that looks ugly and isn't right?
How am I showing up?
We all have something. It's just the truth.
Yeah, and I think women justify it like, well, it's not as bad as that. Like, even with us, like infidelity, when our marriage fell apart, kind of obviously towards the end, but when it did, I looked at him And I was laser focused on the betrayal and the hurt that he caused me because of infidelity. And then it took a little bit of time, but I had people speaking to me like you do to women and say, okay, I mean, kindly, but like, gosh,
Tactfully, but yet boldly.
yeah. And really say, okay, get your eyes off of your husband, all of his stinky sin, all of the things that he's doing, all these things. Let's work on you. Let's work on your heart. And you can do that within your marriage. And that's when you have the discipline in the relationship with the Lord. But it's hard because I wanted us to point out all of his downfalls. And that kind of goes around to us being, okay, let's complete each other. Let's be each other's safe space. We didn't have that. So you work, it's just,
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
I love the way that you said that, Mandy. I mean, there is, and the whole time you guys have been talking, I've just been thinking about every marriage is a prearranged marriage. The Lord makes that very clear. It's like, if we follow his plan and we do it his way, there is no exit strategy.
Yep.
And there is this desire from day one in Genesis. Women will always have a desire to control their spouse.
Yeah.
Dang.
And as men, we've got to be falling under the authority of the Lord in order for our wives to submit. And I know that word is taboo. Most people don't want to hear that, but it's so easy when our husbands are submitted to the Lord.
Yeah.
And there's this alignment of like, Jesus is at the center of our marriage. So I can trust you with big decisions. Transitioning into you guys are living in a house now a majority time of the year with other people because you're discipling people. Talk to us about 180 and what it looks like for Mandy, you to come alongside your husband and support him in this ministry and be his biggest helpmate during that process.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's wild? Just fun fact. We have only ever lived in like community living ever since we got married.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Because I was already living at the Adult and Teen Challenge house.
So we were in the attic,
She moved
900
in
square
there.
feet, 20 men on the second story.
Wow.
So I joke and tell people I became a Christian and moved in with 24 men. You know,
Mandy's got 20 dudes as roommates.
So the guys' floor was just the second story, and then we had our own little like laundry and kitchen
an
up top.
apartment. Yeah.
But then the main level was main kitchen and everything for the guys, and I was welcome. The wives were welcome down there too. So that's how we started for 3 years, and I thought, okay, this is an adventure.
Yeah.
So then
we moved to the 180
started
house.
in 2020.
Yeah. And then we just moved more guys into the house.
Yeah, and it was more community living. Like the kitchen is a shared space. The laundry was a shared space. And that was a little different than the first 3 years of marriage because we had just our own place upstairs and I could come down and share any meals with the guys or just hang out. And to be honest, I loved it. I don't know if I have 3 older brothers and I don't know, it's God's grace and he wired me that way. I just love the guys that God brings. So
Yeah, you
So
do
you
a great
guys get
job.
married.
Yeah.
You're already at Adult and Teen Challenge because you had gone through that program. So you are like really passionate about it. So you guys get married. That's your first house together. And then, I mean, really God brings this opportunity for you guys to move into the 180 house. I know you kind of alluded to it, but tell us what that's like and tell us, a little bit about all of it.
Yeah. So, man, I'm trying to think. I don't know what to share. What exactly do you want us to share about that?
Basically,
about the way that works.
Okay, you're living in community. You're about to go live in community again. Are you as a wife like, wait a minute, like, are we ever going to have a house on our own? How did you guys make that decision together?
Yep.
And how did you support one another through it?
Yeah. Well, it was so fun. So when that opportunity was brought up to us, sometimes you pray and ask the Lord, like, are you supposed to marry this guy? And I was like, where's the banner? Where's the yes? It wasn't that clear until he proposed,
Yep.
But with this, and Sam and I are not the type that like snuggle up and read the Bible together. We just don't do that. That's not our reality. We read on our own. But I remember we left that dinner when the opportunity was shared with us. And we're like, okay, just praying about it. And then we go to bed that night, pray about it, wake up the next morning. And for some reason, we're on the couch reading the book of Psalms together. I don't know why. And it literally said like, and the Lord says yes, and the Lord says yes. And we're reading it out loud. And I was like, Sam, wait, I feel like the Lord is saying yes. And it was so obvious and clear. And it was so fun for him to speak to us so clearly that way. So we knew it was a yes. And I think I was excited, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I am excited. Like the homemaker in me is very strong. And I'm like,
Crush it.
I'm excited to have our own home and space, especially with baby coming. But this is where the Lord has us, and he's providing, and we're trusting him. And so might as well just be content where he has us. And just to share a little bit of my side, being a part of the ministry, when, we have all different types of guys, ages 19 to 60. And some of them, it's like, we call them Uncle So-and-so or whatever. And some of them, it's like, this is awkward. Can we have a conversation? But it's okay. And it's 4 months. And so some seasons are just different than others.
Yeah.
But to see a wife have her husband back and to see kids have their dad back, it's always worth any weird, uncomfortable, or awkward moments that I would ever experience on my end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I love it. Even when it's hard or uncomfortable, or it's like, your home is supposed to be your safe, peaceful place, and this is uncomfortable, So, but I do genuinely love it and want to lift his arms up for sure. For sure. So, what do you want to share about it?
Because you get the opportunity to walk with these guys. Like, tell us what 180 is.
Yeah, so for 4 months, it's a 4-month discipleship program, which really means that guys are pushing pause on life for 4 months. They move into the 180 house.
With their jobs.
They quit their jobs or whatever they got going on, move in for 4 months. They do the 180 routine and schedule. So healthy rhythms, healthy routines, give guys the chance to get healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and address their underlying issues that they might have, coming into it. So a lot of guys will come to us, and maybe they do have a background in addiction or alcoholism. Maybe they don't, and they just want this season of discipleship and life on life discipling. And so everything's biblically based. We want to get guys into the Word, teach them how to hear from the Lord in His Word and hear His voice. We're volunteering and serving every week. We're working together on the property, taking care of the really cool property God gave us, like 5 acres. And then we're doing workouts together, getting physically healthy, getting mentally tough, trying to eat healthy foods in the house. And then we were walking guys through different processes as they go, addressing those underlying issues in their heart. We have several classes. We have some curriculum that we're taking the guys through. And we get them immersed in a really healthy community at Love Church, and we get guys connected so that when they're done with us, they can kind of just like keep doing some of these same Bible studies and stay a part of this same healthy community. They can keep coming to the gym. They can still come to the same classes if they want to. And so, we just work really closely with those guys for 4 months. It's full time. It's very hands-on. Sometimes it's 24/7, all living together, doing this thing together. And then we launch guys out from the house and give them back to their families, but hopefully keep them around. Most guys that graduate 180 stay. I see them every week. I see guys at the gym. I see guys at class. I see guys at Bible study or at church, and we know their families really, really well. And there's just kind of this ever-growing 180 family. We just add another guy, add another group of guys and their families every 4 to 6 months or so.
Okay, so what does it look like for their families? Because sometimes when men or people go away, they don't see their families while they're in treatment, quote treatment.
Right.
So what does that look like for you? Because Mandy, you are that amazing homemaker. You do all the sourdough classes. You do all these things and really provide this safe space for the men under your husband's leadership. But you reach out to the women, and what does it look like for maybe someone whose husband might be interested in that or finding out more information? What does that look like for the women, for the wives?
I think especially as it's gone on, I don't know how many seasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
We've done 8 or 7.
I've learned, there's like a real ministry here for me with the wives, and at first when I was working full time as the Love Kids director at Love Church, that was a lot of my life. And then 2 years ago, I decided I just want to be a homemaker and stay home. And I thought that would happen when the babies came, and there weren't any babies 2 years ago, but here we are. And so then I felt like, okay, 180 that's what we're called to, And so just being able to pour into those women. So yes, we have a couple Bible studies a week where the wives and the kids would come, which was a great opportunity for husbands to see their wives.
Yep.
We do family dinner once a month. Guys can invite their parents. We've had grandparents, the wives, the kids, some of their best friends. They would come over and we would all just have a meal together. So that was really great. And then there's other opportunities. I don't know, this last season we did a book study with all the wives, and so that was an extra day in the week for the husbands to see their wives. So they were committed to come into that book study, 'cause they got to see their husbands, which is so great. We know that if the guy's away for 4 months, the wife still needs love. She still has things going on, and so we encourage them. If you're not coming to the Bible studies at our home, no problem, but get connected and get plugged in, because while God's going to do things in your husband's heart, he wants to do things separately in your heart and then come together. Because, you know, the guys and their wives will tell you once they move home, it's not like, awesome, well, everything's great, so let's just move on. It's like, no, some guys and wives are like, oh, we have to change everything we've been doing, and it's been a transition. And so it's really special to get the couples together and to talk about those things. And they're even sharing, like, as a past couple who've been through it, they're like, hey, my husband's been home for a year and it hasn't been perfect and easy, but
there's no honeymoon,
but it's okay. And this is what's been going on. And I just remember a couple weeks ago, one wife is like, me and my husband are becoming friends, and they've been married for years and years. And he's been out for, I don't know, he's been out of the house for, I don't know how many months, but just to hear her say, like, we're becoming friends.
There's hope.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So
and for
good.
the other wives to hear that, I think is a big deal. So yeah, we love the families. We want them to see each other.
Yeah, and there's passes and visits built in.
Yes,
We have
that's right.
we're very intentional actually with getting guys opportunities to really work on those relationships while they're in the program, so they're not just like away for 4 months and then they just go back to their families. So hopefully they're seeing each other a lot throughout the week.
Yeah. And
We
on
try.
Sundays at church, which is so great.
They get some test runs. They get to go home for the weekend a couple times while they're in the program too, to help with the transition. So yeah, but Mandy does an amazing job of connecting with the wives and just loving on them and walking through some stuff with them.
Love that
as well. So
yeah, how does somebody get in touch with you guys if that's something that they want to be a part of?
Yep, 180omaha.org.
Okay.
180
omaha.org. Yeah, you can hop
cool.
on there. There's applications if somebody's really interested in applying for the program. There's also an inquiry form to just like contact us and shoot us a quick message, and then we reach out to you and connect with you. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Love what you guys are doing, man. You're up to some really cool stuff. This baby is going to be so exciting. You're going to have a baby in this house now.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
Okay. So before we go, we've got to hear the story of how God, so
the dream.
the
The
dream.
dream. We
how-
kinda
yeah.
started
Oh my
there.
gosh.
Yeah. Well, so we went through 6 years not having a baby, and God's amazing. Short story, and then we'll just tell you the dreams. But God ultimately led us back to some doctors. We found this amazing surgeon, which was perfect. If we had done the other doctors, maybe we never would have gotten to this place. But
Is this a coupon doctor or no?
Nope.
no coupon?
Different.
No, it's cash only. We
Worth it.
found this amazing surgeon who really had to do a laparoscopic look to see that Mandy had endometriosis.
Okay.
There's 2 more surgeries that came after that. So that's what we did last year, was go through these surgeries and really get Mandy's body healthy to conceive and carry a baby. And so that was probably what was going on, was this endometriosis thing. And so God just
16,
got us. I think it was just perfect timing. Figure out this amazing surgeon, figure out exactly what's going on with her body. And then we get healthy, and then we knew it was kind of time to try again once we recovered from the surgeries. Let's start trying again, and that's when I got some dreams. And now I'm like, man, we're gonna get pregnant. Like Mandy's body's healthy, everything's kind of lining up. But yeah, what was the first dream that I had? I think one of the first. I don't know.
It's the hunt story. That's really where it started.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that is where it started. So I went hunting, which you have to know I'm like a terrible hunter and a fisherman.
He has the best attitude.
But I love it. And I have friends that help me figure
Build
that.
him up on that.
I have friends that help me. And so I'm out with these guys trying to get a deer. My first deer. I've never gotten a deer. I've gone like 3 years and I don't get anything. So I'm out this time. And I'm like praying to God, like, God, would I just please get a deer? And he says, and he'd already been like challenging me to bring him back a bigger cup. Like basically what he's
Wow.
saying is, Sam, your requests
Huh.
are so like, it's like you don't really believe me for
Yeah.
anything, you know?
Test me more.
Yeah. And so he's already speaking to me about that. Now I'm out in the middle of nowhere trying to find deer and I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, and I'm like, Lord, we're just one little tiny deer. And he's like, bring me back a bigger cup. What do you really want? You want just a little tiny deer? I'm like, no, you know what I really want, God? You know what would be really great? I'd love to have this like big fat buck, you know, where you get the rack, you get the trophy, and you get the meat for the deer. How about a big fat buck? And sure enough, like God brings this amazing deer right to me. Like I'm probably not even a good shot. Yeah. He brings this amazing. I mean, I'm like hidden, and this deer comes right up to me, and I mean, all I have to do is pull the trigger, and I get this big fat buck, and it's an amazing
Within minutes.
Yeah, I mean, probably within an hour, you know,
Yeah.
of being out there, and
It surprised you, right?
yeah, it was so super cool.
So
But
that happens. He texts me on a Sunday to tell me he got a buck, and I'm crying. I'm just so excited. Like it's just about more than the buck, and I don't even know if I knew about his dream at the time. I was just so happy for him.
Yeah, so I come home like just full of faith. Like, man, okay, God wants me to pray more specifically.
Yep.
He wants, like it's almost like I was afraid to tell God what I really wanted. I didn't want to be disappointed, you know. But he's like, dude, tell me what you really want. So I come home and I start praying. Okay, Lord, you know what I really want? I want to get pregnant, and I want to know by Christmas so that we can like tell our family on Christmas.
Yeah,
How fun would that
celebrate.
be? And so I'm thinking November would be really good, God. But November comes and goes, and we're not pregnant. And so I'm like, man,
That's gonna
like
be
that would have
really
been
hard to
yeah.
be
How are we gonna know
able
we're
to
pregnant
tell.
by Christmas now? But anyway, we go into December. But I'm like, man, we're gonna get pregnant. I just know, and I
And you
keep.
had a couple dreams, yeah.
And here's where the dreams come in. So I just a really vivid dream. I'm on our couch in our living room, and Mandy walks in with the pregnancy test that says that we are pregnant. Which I know it would never happen that way because we kind of had an agreement where she wouldn't take pregnancy tests without me because we didn't want to. We only wanted to do that if we were like really sure.
Yeah.
And do it together. So, but nevertheless, here's the dream, and we're pregnant. So I'm like, whoa. And I share that with her, and she's praying and asking God, like, hey, would you give us more dreams? And then I don't know if she has any, but I just keep having these dreams. There's another one, again, super vivid. I'm on the couch in our living room, and this baby girl runs up to me, and she's asking for her daddy, and I'm her dad. I'm like, oh my gosh. We're going to have a baby girl. We don't even know we're pregnant yet. That's why I think we're having a girl.
Yep.
Is because of that dream right there. Was this baby girl ran up to me. And then, man, what else?
So then the night. So it's Christmas Eve, and my cycle was supposed to start over, I think December 16th or something. And we had decided we took 2 pregnancy tests in our whole 6 years of marriage, and they were both really sad. So
Super sad days.
we're not really doing that, you know?
Yeah.
Like we'll wait till the bump comes, maybe. I don't know. And so my period didn't start, and so we had decided we're waiting 7 days. We're not waiting 1 or 2, you know?
Right.
And the 7th day happened to be Christmas morning.
Happened to be December 25th.
So here it is,
yeah.
November. You're not pregnant. You're already praying and crying out to the Lord, God, okay, I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to ask for a baby
By Christmas.
Yeah. Like, for a pregnancy test. So then here you are. It's December.
So December 18th, my period should come because we're
Right.
tracking. We're doing all
We're
the things.
tracking, yeah.
And it didn't come on the 18th or the 19th. And I'm like, Lord, am I? Are we? Am I? And I don't know. And so the 7th day was Christmas morning. And so we go to bed December 24th. We had seen all of his family December 23rd, I believe. All of my family December 24th, just doing the normal thing for the holiday. And I say a prayer before we go to bed. We're just praying like we do. And I say,
We knew we were going to wake up that next morning.
And take a test. And so I just said, Lord, I just ask that you would give Sam a dream tonight to confirm that we're pregnant before we even. I said, Lord, I asked that you would give us a dream tonight and confirm that we're pregnant. And I know it's going to be Sam. Like you're going to give Sam the dream and not me. So I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and that's just a very normal Mandy thing. And it was 2 or 3 a.m. And sometimes I'm like, hey babe, do you have to go to the bathroom? And we'll just go together because we're weird and we love each other. And he's like, nope. And I'm like, okay. So I go to the bathroom. I come back and I said, did you have any dreams?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I did. There's just this dream of like this hand. It was like the hand of God, and he had like jelly on his fingertip, and he just flicked this tiniest little speck of jelly onto the table, and he pointed at it, and he said, "That's how big your baby is right now. This little tiny speck of jelly."
Whoa.
And then that was the dream. There's just a short thing, and so I tell her that, and I just roll back over and go to bed.
So I'm laying there for an hour and a half or 2 hours, like, are we pregnant? Oh my gosh. And he just goes right back to bed. It's a gift from God that men can do that. And Sarah has the gift.
Preach.
So our alarm
yep,
is set for 6 a.m. on Christmas morning, and I snoozed it a couple times because I'm very tired after staying up until 4 or so. And we wake up and we're like, well, this is going to be the best Christmas ever or the worst Christmas ever.
Yeah.
So we woke up and we just prayed and went to the bathroom, and I peed on the stick, and we sat together and prayed again. And
We didn't look. We like put it away while we were waiting for it to like develop, and we're like, we'll look at the same time together.
Yep. So we went into the bathroom and
You wait 5 minutes or whatever it is.
we flipped it over and looked at the same time. It was the best.
It was the best.
Come on.
It was the
That's
best.
so awesome.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
just cried and laughed
Just
and
instantly
cried. And
crying, just like we're in
God
our
is
tiny
so
little
faithful.
stool room. You know how like some bathrooms have like the extra little stool room? Like we're
Yeah.
in there together crying. And just saying like, God's so good. Like he did it.
Yeah.
And he said he would. And he had, and it's Christmas Day.
Yes.
And
So what did we do? We got in the car and we went and
It's like
told
7 a.m.
as
We
many
hop in the car.
family as we could.
Yeah, we showed up at some family's house and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, we just saw you yesterday. Like, you're not supposed to come over on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We have the best present
Like,
ever.
Yeah.
Well, we got to tell you something.
So fun.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is amazing
Yeah.
because here you are, like you guys don't have a traditional, anything
No,
really.
Probably
And
not.
it's amazing, and God's been leading you through it. He's so faithful. I'm so proud of you guys both for choosing to obey him even when it doesn't make sense, and choosing to stay the course, all these things, because you've shared. Really, you're trying to conceive for all these years because you share. And Mandy, I remember you speaking and like praying over women at church for agape nights, and you would declare, this is what we're going through. And sometimes you wouldn't, but everyone knew. And so now that you shared this, that, okay, we have this problem, we're trusting in God. We don't understand it. We're still trusting in God. And here we are pregnant. I feel like our entire church has been so celebrating and our community really have been so celebrating this baby. And I cannot wait. And the cool thing is, whether it's a girl or boy, you guys don't know, but if it's a boy, then you're next. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe that dream was for this baby, maybe it was for a second or
Right,
third baby,
right.
but I just can't wait. And I'm so inspired by your faith. Thank you so much for sharing all the things. I feel like we could go on more because, there's just so much, but we love you guys, and your baby's going to have the best hair. I swear. It's going to have the best hair, the best parts of you both, the best heart. I love it. Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love to share with you guys.
Love you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. What a privilege. This is so cool, and you guys are amazing.
Wow, what an incredible story that we just got to experience. We hope you were just as moved as we were listening to that story. Drop a comment below and tell us what you learned and how the story impacted you. We can't wait to share our next story with you, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss the next episode of Making Marriage Great Again. We love you. We're praying for you. We can't wait to see you soon.